Welcome to the Explainer. Right now, the markets are popping champagne, celebrating what looks like peace between the US, Israel, and Iran. But what if they're completely wrong? In this Explainer, we're going to break down why this isn't peace. It's just the calm before a very different and maybe even bigger storm.
All right, let's get right into it. The bombs have stopped falling, which feels like good news, right? But does that really mean the whole crisis is over? To get what's actually going on, we gotta look past the flashy headlines and use a really simple but powerful framework. So, the source material we're looking at today breaks this whole thing down into 4 connected steps, or lines of logic. The best way to think about them is like a set of dominoes. If one of them falls, it's taking the next one down with it. Now, here's what's so critical about this setup. Everything depends on the step before it. You absolutely can't have diplomacy until the military action is sorted out. And you can't get shipping insurance, which, let's be real, is the grease that keeps the wheels of the global economy turning, until you have that diplomacy. So right now, everyone's cheering because that first domino, military action, has stopped shaking for a second. But that's it. That's the only thing that's changed. So you have to ask, why did this huge military escalation just stop? Well, it's not because everyone suddenly had a change of heart and decided to talk it out. Nope, it's because both sides, for the time being, have slammed right into a strategic brick wall. So why the sudden stalemate? Well, a few big reasons. First, they've both basically run out of their best interceptor missiles. Second, all the easy targets are gone. Anything important is now buried so deep underground you can't get to it. And finally, the political pressure back home, especially for the US, is getting intense. The military option hasn't been solved. It's just exhausted, for now. But this pause, even though it's probably temporary, has sent this huge wave of relief. Total euphoria ripping through the financial markets. Investors are acting like the danger has vanished, and it's time to get back to business as usual. And you can see that optimism right here. Look at this. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, they've just soared, completely wiping out their losses for the year. The markets are pricing in a complete return to normal, all because the missiles stopped flying for a minute. But they are missing the most important piece of this entire puzzle. And this is the part that Wall Street seems to be completely ignoring. Just let that sink in for a second. The shooting might have paused, but a full-on economic blockade is happening right now. We're talking about both sides actively stopping ships from getting through one of the most critical waterways on the planet. So the conflict isn't over, not by a long shot. It's just changed its tactics. Okay, so how does this all lead to a huge hidden danger? Well, this massive gap between the market's happy-go-lucky attitude and the reality on the ground has created what our source material calls a pricing mismatch. See, the market is only looking at that first domino, the military action, and celebrating that it's on pause. It's completely 100% ignoring the fact that because that first domino isn't truly resolved, the last domino, the global economy, is now under a direct and ongoing attack through this blockade. And that right there is the great delusion. So, here's what you really need to take away from all this. The danger hasn't passed at all. It has simply shifted from a very loud, very visible battlefield to a silent, invisible economic war. And that leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question to think about. Are we all celebrating the end of the storm just as the real flood is about to begin?